Hey guys, wanted to do a quick quote-unquote review of my 2018 Husqvarna TE150. A couple of viewers had asked that I do that, or at least go over the bike and what my impressions were. I'm doing this because I have a year and a half of riding on it now. So I got some pretty good time, and I got a pretty good feel for how the bike is. Now, I'm going to say this is not a professional review at all. This is just a very subjective review. And it's also based on the trail riding that I do. Oh, fuck! Now, I'll just say right up front, it's been a great bike. I've had 250s, I've ridden 300s, I've had a mix of bikes, and this really has been fantastic. But there are, there are a couple things that would be better, of course. But I'm just going to start off here with what I've done, I suppose. Some of my mods that. And not many. It's mostly stock, but I have I have done some mods. And the first one, or the main one, would be the Arcade Tech insert. So that would be an insert that goes right into the head, right inside there. And that is something that has bumped up the low end torque quite a bit. So that's really been fantastic. Otherwise, I'd find, because I weigh 195 pounds, or at least at the time I bought the bike, I weighed 230. So I found it was a little sluggish, on the bottom end. But with the head insert, it's been really quite good, and I'm down to 195 now, and it's really good. So obviously losing weight makes a big difference, but if you're a regular weighted rider, at 170, 180, I think it should just work fine. The other thing that I did is I did the Graham Jarvis mod on the Mikuni carb. And I'll just show you on the other side here. Down here, of course, the carb is a Mikuni 38, which is a bit surprising because it's a much smaller engine, and you got the 38s on the 250s and 300s. And so I did the Graham Jarvis mod, and I'll just attach a few photos. But the mod is well documented online, and you just have to go through the procedures for modifying the carb. There's quite a few of them, including jetting. Excuse me, I got a cold here that I'm trying to get over, so just bear with me. And that, along with the Arcade Tech head, has transformed the bike. The mod works really, really well. It's surprising at how well it runs. So now when I ride this bike, I don't even think about the carb. It is, it's just perfect. Everything runs perfectly, throughout all rev ranges. It's really fantastic. You just have to put in the time to go through it. Do the mod. It's well worth it. Let's see here. What else do I have? Levers. Yeah, I got a Midwest Mountain Engineering lever here on the clutch side, and I think a Tusk or some other lever on the brake. Really, the levers. I've gone back and forth with the levers. I've tried other ones, and the stock ones are just fine. These are ones that I just wanted to try out. The it's got a nice feel. There's a little bit of an advantage with the Midwest Engineering, but not worth the money in my opinion. It's a nice sturdy lever, but you got to have the tools with you to like little Allen keys if you want to adjust it on the road, and that's not convenient at all. I think the stock levers are just better because you can just adjust them on the fly. They're just they're the way to go. It's got these Cycra guards as well too, with the Husky covers. I also did a LED headlight install. The plastic stock one, I kept breaking it. They're pricey to break and they're not very strong. Um, let's see. Clutch cover. So on the other side, you'll see there's a Polysport clutch cover that is great for protecting the clutch cover. But unfortunately for this bike, they don't make one for the stator cover. And as you can see, I've dinged it up quite a bit. And yeah, it would be really nice if they made one for the stator. But what I find with the 150s is that manufacturers are not making that many aftermarket parts for the 150. Lots for the 250s and 300s, so you need to be aware of that. But you can get some for the 150s, at least the really important stuff. Rotor guard, I'm not too sure how effective that is. I did bend a rotor once, and so I put that on. Maybe it's going to help, but I did buy a hard part to replace that with. An aluminum billet, so I think it's going to protect better. The sprockets, I'm running everything stock, front and back. I find that it's geared to just right for that. And you know, just some plastics here to protect the frame. As you can see, my bike has been bombed. It's really quite rough. And but you know, that's just how bikes are, right? I got a Seat Concepts seat on it, and that is also tearing and ripping. So it's not holding up very well. I got this tape on here because the plastic subframe of the seat itself is cracked along the edges, so it's not holding together. So you know, it's only been a year and a half, and I think it should hold up better than that, but unfortunately it doesn't. Fuel, I run 100 to 1 on this bike, and it is fantastic. I use the AMSOIL Sabre. Okay, so a couple other leftover mods here that I've done. As you can see, I need new plastics. It's quite brutal. Yeah, I got the billet rad guards. You know, I really don't know whether or not they're protecting the rad. If you were to look at the rad on the other side here, check out how badly that's smacked in. And that's where there isn't any protection. Like the rad right here in the front covers it nicely. There's some protection on the side, but not enough going up. And as you can see, where it's not covered, that's where the rad gets smashed. You know, the metal really should be covering that rad much better, especially for the money. These are expensive rad guards, and they're not doing that great of a job protecting the rad. So, you know, often it's just best to stick with stock, and you save yourself a lot of money because you have to end up replacing a lot of these parts regardless. The pipe, I'm on my third pipe here, I believe, and I blow it out myself whenever it gets badly dented. So right now it's not too bad. It tends to get buckled right here quite often. This is one of the design issues that I do not like about this bike, is that the pipe, the way it's designed, is different from a 250 and a 300. It comes straight out and then does a bend, and you know, whenever you smack it, that's the weak spot, and it tends to buckle right there. And the metal that they use for the stock pipe is quite thin and weak, and it dents very, very easily. Right now I got an FMF on there, regular FMF gold, and it's also weak. Unfortunately, there's no gnarly pipe available for this bike. And then underneath, protecting the bike, bottom part, is the SXS full length skid plate. It's one-piece skid plate that goes all the way underneath to the linkage itself. It is absolutely fantastic. It is a polymer or plastic skid plate, and I really like how it feels going over logs and rocks compared to the aluminum ones. And Yeah, a shark fin at the back to protect that rear rotor. Looks like it's been doing its job. That's been good too. But overall, not very many mods. You know, stock muffler. Oh yeah, sorry. And I got one more thing here. The steg peg. That's worked out quite well to help. But I think I'm going to take it off. I've sported it for about a year, and I've been finding that on the downhills, it's interfering with my boots when I slide back. It's getting in the way when you want to sit really, really far back, going on very steep downhills. It's been great going up hills. You know, it helps reduce leg fatigue, but I've built up my strength quite a lot now, and I don't have an issue. I don't think I'll have an issue with that anymore, so I will remove them. But they've been a pretty good help, you know, to get me started. My opinion, basically, on this is that, you know, it's not a bike that's going to, you know, hold up with your buddies on the 250s and 300s when they're moving fast on, you know, Forest Service roads or up big hills. It's just not going to keep up, and you know, that's fine. It doesn't have the horsepower to do that, and you shouldn't expect it to, because it's a 150. But that's not, you know, how I ride. I ride in the trails, in the trees, you know, rocks and all that, and you know, you can't go too fast through that stuff anyway. And it's all about technical ability and getting through stuff. And I find for that, it's been more than capable, more than enough. It will jump over anything. It will climb a tree if you let it. It is very, very nimble. It's got plenty of power to do, you know, I'd say 85% of to 90% of what you want to do on a trail. And you know, the weight savings are just worth it. It is a much lighter bike to pick up when you're dropping it all the time, and it's also very light and nimble in terms of its feel compared to a say a 300 riding through trails. So yeah, it's been a great bike. This is a 2018. Would I buy a 2020, you know, as my next bike? I would buy a 2020 150 again too. I've given it a lot of thought. I might be buying another bike in 2020, and you know, I want to see how the how these, you know, the 150 TPIs hold up, because they're new for 2020. You know, if I get impatient, I might buy a bigger one, but I think I'm going to stick with this because it's been so good. You know, the more I think about what I can do with this bike, it's not expensive to maintain. It's great. Oh, speaking of maintenance, there is one major gripe here, and that is the plastic subcomponent under here. This black plastic component right there breaks all the time. I'm on my fourth one, and it's weak. It's a weak point, and it really sucks. But hey, that's not too bad compared to what you get for this bike. And the 150 KTM makes is the same deal, except with the PDS shock, and it's even a little lighter apparently. So so that would be also a great bike. But anyway, hope you got something out of this, and yeah, I'll catch you on the next video.